and the NASCAR Foundation, we want to give the Salvation Army of Jackson a check for $15,000.
Can you share that pic with me, please? You got a video going on.
All right. Well, first off, thank you guys so much for being here, and Joe, and so just real quick, what is your favorite thing about your job? Because you have a pretty cool job. You get to be the president of a speedway, an international speedway. So how many races do you get to see a year?
I get to see a lot of races, and the best part, honestly, is having our fans here. And young people here, just to come in and have fun. That's what this sport's all about. So, you know, seeing people load in, having a good time with a smile on their face, that's exactly what we work hard for every day.
Do you remember the first time you ever went to a NASCAR race or a short track race or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. When I was a kid, we used to watch racing as a family, and we did that every Sunday. And when I turned into my teenage years, we would go to dirt tracks together as a family. And then my very first NASCAR race ever was in St. Louis, actually, and had a great time. And I fell in love with the sport, and I knew that this is something I wanted to do for a career, and I still love it more.
I had a bunch of our friends out here. They were talking to me. They were asking if I had ever been behind the wheel of a race car. I have unfortunately not been behind the wheel of a race car, and we're going to talk with someone here who has. Have you ever been behind the wheel of a stock car before?
Yeah, I did a couple times in a driving school, and I'm not very good. That's why I do this job.
And what was the fastest you were driving on a racetrack? On a racetrack, what's the fastest you've driven?
I think it was around 160 miles an hour.
160 miles an hour. Wow, that's wild. I want to turn things over real quick to Major Matt Grindle. Matt, have you ever driven a stock car before?
No, but I have sat in an Indy car.
Sat in an Indy car. Okay, and Indy cars are a little different. They look a little different. They kind of look like rocket ships.
Yeah, you have to take the steering wheel off to get in there.
Nice. How many races have you been to over your...
Actually, this is the first time I've ever been to something with NASCAR.
Cool.
But I've been to a number of Indy races when I lived in Indianapolis.
Indy races, very good, very good. Yeah, we race all over.
I'm now a NASCAR fan, so
nice.
I'm watching this guy race today, hopefully.
That's right. Now, let's turn things over to Casey just a little bit. So, Casey, I have a question, and I can hand you my mic here. What's the fastest you've ever driven?
Around 200 miles an hour.
200 miles an hour. All right. Look, yeah, that deserves some applause right there. So, Casey, do you ever get scared when you get behind the wheel of a stock car? And if you do, how do you manage your fear and your heart rate and things like that?
I think if you didn't have a little fear, there might be something wrong with you. But certainly as you drive, you have to put that out of your mind. You have to focus on what you're doing and the job at hand, and you have to have confidence in the crew. So when you were doing the tire changes today and the fuel drill over with the gas cans, that's all stuff that's important that my crew does today to give me the confidence to drive the car fast when we finally get clear weather and get to go racing.
Nice. So this sport too, it's really difficult. You don't win, just nobody wins very often. If you're winning 10% of the time, you're probably doing a good job. So if you're not winning all the time, how do you stay confident and how do you keep going so that you know, like, hey, this time, I came in 13th place, but that's okay. Next time I'll have a chance at a win. How do you keep that momentum going?
I think you have to always set personal goals, and what's realistic for you to achieve in that particular moment, and then try to measure up to those goals, and then see how you can keep pushing those goals further forward. A lot of times you're racing yourself based upon the position that you're in, the equipment that you're in, and so it's always kind of the personal goals. Are you fulfilling those, and are you able to push those forward the next time?
I love that. And I had some friends over here. Raise your hand if you asked me about when we're going go-kart racing. Did you say that? Okay, I know we had people talking about go-karts. How did you get started in racing? Did you get started in go-karts? In what other forms? And if someone here was interested in racing, how would you recommend getting started in this sport?
So I started racing go-karts. That's where I started, and I spent a couple years in that, and then when I was 16, transitioned to car racing. Actually, in the car racing world, I started as a sports car road course driver, so tracks where we turn left and right, and then just a couple years ago, I started doing some oval racing in the Arkham Menard series, where we'll race today. But I would say if you want to pursue a career in motorsports, find people to build relationships with in motorsports. Talk to people, get to know people, network. In the day and age of social media, it's very easy to reach out to people and start establishing a dialogue with folks and just lean on people for resources. There's a wealth of information out there that people can obtain, and none of it's bad.
Nice. And since I'm driving a car and I'm not like a football player or a track star, do I have to eat healthy as well, or can I just like eat whatever I want if I want to be a race car driver?
You should probably eat healthy, definitely, especially the week of a race, right? Eat healthy, drink lots of water. Hydration's big. We'll be in the cars today for a couple hours. The guys on Sunday will be in the cars here for, probably up to 4 hours. And as the temperature climbs back up when the clouds open up here, it's going to be hot inside the car. So hydration is probably the biggest part of it.
Okay, so you said 4 hours. Raise your hand if you've been on a 4-hour road trip before. Okay, so we've been on a 4-hour road trip. Now, Casey, how hot does it get in the car?
I don't really have an answer for you on the temperature, but it gets awfully hot, right? Keep in mind we're in a 3-layer suit, also with Nomex undergarments on underneath that, so very little airflow in the car because we run a passenger side window on the big tracks like this. So you're cooking, you're sitting next to the transmission, but if you're able to focus, you try to put that out of your mind, and if you're hydrated, it's far better than if you're not.
So imagine being on a 4-hour road trip and your air conditioning isn't working and it's 100 degrees outside. That's what it's like to go racing. And you got a helmet on and a fire suit. Okay, last question for you. And